The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
Every journey begins with a simple act of care. For Quest to Unite Africa, that journey started with something simple: a mother, a newborn, and a promise that no life would be forgotten. We did not begin with buildings, we began with people. We packed mother newborn kits with our own hands because real change starts where the need is greatest. Those kits traveled farther than we imagined, and they opened our eyes to a deeper truth. Aid saves lives, but infrastructure saves generations. So we grew. Together with donors, volunteers, and partners, we sent a medical container to Burkina Faso. Not just supplies, but hope. Not just boxes, but proof that when a community comes together, healing moves across borders. That moment changed us because we realized something powerful. We weren't just delivering help, we were building a future. Now, the journey continues. The next chapter is bigger than a shipment, bigger than a campaign. We are raising funds to build a state-of-the-art hospital, a place where mothers can give birth safely, where families can find care close to home, and where communities can grow stronger for generations to come. This hospital is not just a structure, it's a promise. A promise that healthcare will no longer be temporary. A promise that dignity will have a permanent home. And just like every step before, we cannot do this alone. Every gift, every brick, every name placed on the founder path becomes part of a story that began with compassion and is growing into legacy. It helps us move from emergency aid to lasting healing, from containers to care that never leaves, from vision to reality. Join us, stand with us, help us build a hospital that will serve generations, moving healthcare into action. Visit q2ua.org today.
Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
Shalom, salama, yemi, shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. We're now within the 40th day of this emergency alert, which is a war that is going on within the Middle East. Don't get it twisted. This war is still happening. Now, in terms of the ebbs and flows, understand that this isn't just a ceasefire or cessation of fire. This is a way that the U.S. is trying to continue to have some sort of relationship value with its historical constructs. And in each passing time, each passing moment, that there is the issue of fuel in emergency, energy crises occurring around the world, well, the only nation that is responsible for that, well, two nations, but the only one that they see, that the rest of the world sees, is that the U.S., not the Eastern Middle or the Eastern Mediterranean nation. Now, again, I'm taking a huge risk when I put those thumbnails on up and have the explanation here in this live stream form. Because if you all did not know, freedom of speech is being challenged. And it's being challenged even here in Florida in this state. So technically speaking, I could be under the gun according to a new law that they had just passed here Monday. So certain criticisms are now illegal. Certain thought processes, certain historical understandings are actually now illegal here where I'm at in the state of Florida. I'm not saying that as hyperbole or some sort of exaggerated gesture. I'm not. I wish I was. But you also have to understand that towards the time of a failing empire, you're going to have different mechanisms go. This is one of those mechanisms. Now, is that throughout all of the United States? No, it's not. This is why this dissolution of this empire is so dynamic. And it's just because it's not a centralized authority. It's not necessarily a centralized power. This is called the United States. Now, there is a centralization of governmental powers in the federal government, the federated nations, or excuse me, states. However, there's judicial construct at each level with your federal, state, and your local. So again, as I stated in this channel, I'm just here to bring you the news and to have the understanding through what the scriptures are stating. The scriptures did state that, look, we're going to be under immense persecution. What did you think persecution was going to look like? Oh, we're going to sit here in kumbaya and the Most High is going to beam down those cloud-covered chariots and we get beamed on up Yeah, that sounds very sci-fi-ish. I get it. But the reality was we were going to go through this persecution together. You have to go things through things together as a family. Oh, and that's where the rub is because the people don't know that we are a family of one of the greatest families, or if not the greatest family on this earth. A family that has made the covenant with the Most High Himself, a family that had been taken out of bondage the first time in Mitzrayim, known as Egypt, a family that had met with the Most High on His mountain, Mount Sinai, and it was our family, whether we were not not there, it doesn't matter. They co signed for us and the generations to follow. And through that co signing, we had to owe for the sins of our forefathers. That's why we're here. That's why we're in this moment. That's why we're in this time. Now, how that is going to work on out, remember, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. The plans of the wicked, they always fail. That may be the plan, but I'm not here trembling. I'm not here shaking. All I'm out here is to speak truth and peace. And that's it. Now, in a time of war, shadowy talk, deception, all the good stuff that we've read in Daniel and Zechariah, because why? Because these dates and these times were already recorded that we would be living, walking, moving, working in this particular time, that our families would be in this generation, a generation where the Most High is moving and is visiting His people. This is a time of visitation. So, why do you think now they want to have and enact all of these different laws and statutes? Because it's quite simple. If you shut us up, then judgment doesn't happen because the righteous can't cry out. That's kind of a simple calculus, isn't it? Shut the people up. It's interesting that we have been talking about this for years. And everything that we have discussed, everything that you've heard from Yakoba, Teyu, others, you name it, within our community, you name it. The only thing that I like to do, I like to give a bit of a military analysis and a contemporary analysis as it relates to the financials and economic policies. I like to dig into why things are going on because I think it's fair for our people to have that analysis because our people are naturally curious. Why is it happening? What is going on? What's being shown? We don't live in a bubble. And that's so extraordinary amongst our people is that we do not, by and large, we do not live in a bubble. By and large, we don't. We actually try to understand things. We actually try to break things down. And what makes us so unique and bothersome at the same time is that we do not regard the dog whistles. We don't. We ask, why would they say that? What does that mean? We don't go through, oh, well, it's just, it is what it is. No, we don't. We only do that if we've been broken to the point of being broken, to the point of near death. And as of right now, I guess, what was it? Less than 12 hours ago, there was an acceptance of Iran's 10-point plan after extraordinary threats, to say the least, of a nation bombing another nation into the Stone Age. Now, I'm going to tell you, I did believe that Trump was going to act on those threats. I did. But I also look at it like this too. There are psychological plans at play. There's a psychology to this because you have to go through a sociological order to be able to have people be genuinely accepting of those types of genocidal acts. You just don't go through it all at once. It took months, weeks, years. Now, here's the reality of this so-called ceasefire deal. Because it's not necessarily a ceasefire. It is another cessation of hostilities. And then remember a couple 8-9 months after that, then you had hostilities, and that led to the current dynamic, the current situation of where we're at. And now this one is a 2-week deal, supposedly. 2-week deal of wagging the dog. And yeah, these deals, they were watered down. Luo Blood says the reparations were removed. Yeah, they were. And you want to know why? You want to know why? Because psychologically, if they had to hear, they, as in the West, had to hear reparations, and they then in fact did pay on the reparations, that's too much of a blow to the ideology of white supremacy. I.e., that would have been a bridge too far. So here this is, and again, these are high level, so they haven't shared really the actuals, and they probably won't share the actuals until they say, I think, the 11th. That's when they'll start negotiating. in earnest, supposedly. Oh yeah, that's the obvious. Yeah, Vincent Siplin says, Brother Paul believes Trump is lying to buy time for troops to place themselves deeper into the land invasion. Oh yeah, that's absolutely it is. But I want to go over the 10-point plan so you understand why it's always destined to fail and who is going to actually break the plan. So this is from mirror.co.uk. Iran's humiliating 10 demands for Trump includes £1 million to ship fee for Hormuz Strait. The president has agreed to a 2-week ceasefire with Iran to negotiate on their 10-point proposal, including lifting sanctions, guaranteed no attacks, and permanent end to war. Anytime you have a ceasefire, just like what you had with Ukraine and Russia, all that did was just to backfill in more weapons, more flow of weapons. And that can be on both sides. So the reality is that Trump had to literally call the timeout because they're running low on weapons, because the public outcry of even floating the nuke, they were floating it, they put it on out there. We didn't come up with that suggestion. If they were doing that, you even had some Congress members tweeting about do not do that, it will be devastating, blah 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 blah, because you're putting out the information and then what you're doing is you're having AI, Grok, Gemini, Chat GPT, you name it, provide the actual analytics of what people's sentiments would be based on their post. Is it a positive or is it a negative? Is it a negative one or is it a plus one? Do you see how the data points is something that they can say, well, based off of the population, based off of the numbers, based off of how we see this going here, based off of the trend lines and the trend analysis, then guess what? They're looking for a certain number, a certain percentage that would then agree to the craziness. That's why, technically speaking, the amount of crazy that Trump is allowed to get away with, he is allowed to get away with it because there's a steady flow of a trend line that he's still above 30%. The moment that he starts to reach about low 20s, teens, that's the moment where the popularity, here we go, the popularity of a coup or coup attempt will be seen as a positive. Now, the rumblings are going on right now because you have to have a negative default. In the bell curve, this is all statistics, the bell curve, you have to give a positive and you have to give a negative. This is all statistical analysis. This is all numbers. That's all what they're doing. It's just numbers. It's two tails. One tail has to be there for an extreme, and the other tail has to be there for the other extreme. So it has to balance on out because you have to continue to have the main populace be in a state of confusion, ignorance, and another key word, apathy. Well, I don't really care as long as it doesn't affect me. What's the point of impact that people are feeling the effects? Let me caveat this. What's the point of impact that white folks are feeling the effects, or Caucasian folks are feeling the impacts, or the dominant ethnicity? I think that'll be the best one. Because why? Because that is the people groups that, if primed, they react. Not us. We're okay. Now, what will we do? Will we react if we are threatened or if we are violently attacked? Yes, we will. To protect ourselves, yes, we will. But by and large, as a people, we've kind of bowed out to this. Okay. And the world is on fire. And what does that mean for us? Well, you need to help us put the flames out. No, that's not the deal. Now, all of a sudden, when we had requirements, hey, listen, we wanted reparations. We wanted some sort of monetary acknowledgement instead of just the I'm sorry and then whatever. If you notice, monetary acknowledgement always means that there is a gesture that is taken seriously, because that exchange of that resource that's lost actually is felt and actually creates a negative consequence. Whenever you hear, oh, well, can you just get an apology? That's not negative. Sorry, and then slap your hand. That's not a negative. If you're taking away resources from them and they have to, keyword, give that resource away, that hurts them. They have to give away their God, literally, their mammon. They got to give away their Elohim, literally, their source, their strength. So going down here, that's just given a lot of the synopsis here. The 11th hour, Trump took to Truth Social to inform or to confirm a last minute cancellation of the planned attack and immediate ceasefire. And then he puts his plan on out, or puts it on out there. Iran's 10-point plan includes, so it's not a detailed. This is still going on in the background. You got to understand that these outlets are providing the minimal information, because when they go into negotiations right now, who do you think is on the losing side in this negotiation? And it's not the U.S. Excuse me, it's not Iran. It's definitely not Iran. The U.S. is on the losing side. The U.S. was the one that had to feed and call uncle. And now, even with these first 2 points, let me tell you the duplicitousness of this, not from the Iranian side of the house, But this would be from the side that is losing. So, number one, the first thing that they have here, guarantee that Iran will not be attacked again. How can you guarantee that? Because remember, I distinctly remember a June 12th last year where another round of negotiations, or the very first round of negotiations, and what ended up happening? Well, that Eastern Mediterranean nation struck Iran. So to me, what? It's third time now the charm? Permanent end to the war, not just a ceasefire. Okay. What does that mean? Because again, you still have that Eastern Mediterranean nation that is now hell bent on war. All right. End to the Eastern Mediterranean nation strikes in Lebanon. You know that that's not going to happen because too much dirt on Donald through them PDF files. Next, lifting of all U.S. sanctions on Iran. Okay, so then you're giving them economic dominance and economic and financial wherewithal to where, all right, you want to lift sanctions, we're going to deal in the yuan, further destroying the US dollar and the Western hegemony via the US dollar. Okay, I don't see that happening. But next, and to all regional fighting against Iranian allies. And what does that mean? That means that they would have to, US would have to control that Eastern Mediterranean nation's proxy forces, agents, and other covert agency, i.e., Mossad, within the region. Not going to happen. All right, so let's keep going. In return, Iran would open the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, so those 5 conditions that will not be met in the Strait of Hormuz is still going to be closed. It's just a ceasefire. Do y'all see where this is going? That was number 6. Iran would impose a Hormuz fee of $2 million per ship, and it's not dollars. It's the equivalent of $2 million within yuan, Chinese yuan. So now you have a toll that is definitely guaranteeing China while denying the US, because anything that they're going to do outside of the US dollar, well, there's going to be a fee imposed via a transaction exchange fee. So there's already money coming off the top that China's making. The Strait of Hormuz now is then de facto controlled by Iran. So all of the Arab nations by de facto are controlled by Iran, because the regional players and everyone else, let's get going into this. I don't want to go through and not go pinpoint by pinpoint. Iran would impose a $2 million or a Hormuz fee of $2 million per ship. We covered that. A yuan equivalency, and Iran would split these fees with Oman. Okay, so now you have Arab Peninsula domination that would then transfer from UAE, Saudi Arabia, and now guess what? The Arabian Sea countries of Yemen and Oman have now geographic waterway imports or restrictions for import export control through the Bab al Mandeb Strait and the Strait of Hormuz. That's the checkmate of the region. Eastern Mediterranean nation won't agree with that. That's dead. Next. Iran to provide rules for safe passage through Hormuz, i.e., the IRGC is the de facto operator of who can and cannot enter the strait. Everybody else will, besides probably Britain, the UK, the US, and that Eastern Mediterranean nation. Hey, it's a ceasefire. They're still actively engaged in war. We can't do anything that will continue to harm us or put us in jeopardy. So that's the dead moot point. All right, next, number 10. Iran to use Hormuz fees for reconstruction instead of reparations. Well, it doesn't matter. That's the same thing. It's just the gameplay. It's a wordplay. If they say reparations, they already know who that affects. That affects Africa and the African diaspora, which will in turn affect China, and then China would have to advocate for damages of reparations. All's fair, so that's why they had to go with reconstruction. It's a semantic wordplay. It's semantics. So, what does that actually mean? It means that the U.S. had to acknowledge that they're losing without acknowledging it. We've been saying it. I've been saying it. We've been saying it. You want to know who was not saying it? All those people that listen to the dog whistles. And it's a spiritual dog whistle. And don't think that you're going to be able to have your ears in tune to that spiritual dog whistle frequency. It's a little hard for us to interpret. All we know is that their heads are kind of tilting one way, and we look at them with that tilted look and their eyes of bewilderment as they're listening to something that we truly cannot listen to because we're not on the same wavelength. Sorry, it's true. That's just how it is. Oh, well, it's going to get better. We're actually winning the war. He says we're winning the war. Things are looking great. Things are looking, and then they tilt their head as if they're still continuing to listen to their principality. Oh, y'all don't understand. I know some of y'all don't get it. The way this thing works. We can say that they're going crazy. We could say that they're losing their mind. Nah, they're jacked into that principality. You are crazy. You're the one that's lost your mind. Because why? You don't hear what that principality's saying? Nah, I don't. I'm covered under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I have the Ruach HaKodesh living and working and moving inside of me. So how can I listen to a strange Elohim when the truth is inside of me? Truth and lies cannot exist on the same plane, right? Wickedness and righteousness cannot exist in the same vessel. It cannot. Now, there's hope for the Gentiles because some of the Gentiles, they get it. And I'm like, wow, hallelujah. Now, they're being led into some truth. They're still having to be led into all truth. But guess what? It is a process. Don't get it twisted. This is their Gentile awakening. Don't get it twisted. We had our awakening a couple years ago. I told you their awakening is going to be much more violent because they didn't just get kicked out the bed. Man, they got literally bombed out the bed. And they were trying to figure out what's happening, what's going on, what's this, what's that. It took them a little bit. It took them a lot to really understand, oh, man, okay, this dude is lying. And all we could do was just look and see that some of them were not responding to the dog whistles. Some of them were actually on TikTok and YouTube and actually saying, I think that black people are correct. I think you're going to have to pay attention to what black people are saying. I stopped paying attention to what Fox News and CNN and all of these other news, BBC, Telegraph. Because why? Because the more that they continue to lie, the more that they continue to expose themselves. The more that they would then have to ask, not us, don't ask me. I can't do anything for you. I told you all, I can't do anything for you. All I could do was just tell you what the Most High puts on me to tell you, and I go from there. Guess what? You're going to have to ask Yahusha so that the Ruach HaKodesh can do what? Can lead you and guide you into all truths. But there's an obedience factor to that. You just don't show up at somebody's house and just eat a bite. Here's a plate of food. It's good food. Look, you got this, you got a Wagyu steak on in here, you got some truffles up on in there, you got this and that, you got a whole $1,000 feast gourmet. Made it special for you. Thank you. I'll just have AP. AP. That's it. Well, I wanted you to at least, eat the plate, because when you enjoy the plate, you'll enjoy the truth. And then when you enjoy that truth, you start coming back to eat more truth. So then you can understand how satiated and full you are, because the junk food of the lies is not doing anything for you. You're looking all emaciated. You're looking like you're a skeleton. You look like you're the walking dead. You look like a zombie. Yeah, that's what we have here. Spiritual zombies. Now, maybe they start off with that P, and maybe they have to just eat a little bit more peas and work to the mashed potatoes, and then be able to work to eating a little bit of the salad, because you know that arugula, it does something to them other than the baby spinach. I don't know. But that's something that they are going to have to figure on out, because right now they have to have the spiritual appetite to know what it means to be led into all truth. You know what? I just want some of the truth. I just want truth that feels good to me. That's what it was. They had that. That's what that was. This is why you had the anti-S laws, and this is why you had their sentiments of this and that. And then they decided, I'm going to take that P, but then I'm going to get some more spiritual junk food. Oh, no, you want to know what? I don't read the word, but guess what? Somebody else interpreted it for me, quote unquote. And we're spiritual Israel. Come on. And we said, okay, you're going to do that. You're going to do that. You're going to start throwing up unto your own grave. You just can't have the truth and then reject it. And that's what they were doing. Because coming back is even harder, because your body now has to reject more of that poison. Can somebody say spiritual relapse? This is a spiritual detox. This is them. You're seeing the whole Pookie isms. And you have really the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, holding them as they're trying to get that fix of the lies that feel so good. So now there's a 2 week cessation of sorts for people to get a 2 week fix on lies. Oh, everything's back to normal. Everything's good. Everything. Okay. If you want to believe that lie, then that's up to you. Because remember, when they have that fixed, guess what? That crash is going to be a whole lot harder. And at the end, they say tragedy avoided for 2 weeks. 2 weeks for who? That message that Iran came or had on out there said, look, we'll listen, courtesy of Pakistan. That's what they said. Courtesy of Pakistan, we'll listen. But they already said, look, if anything happens, this is the Ayatollah now. He said, if anything happens, he said, everybody has carte blanche to do what they need to do. So, for those asking in the chat, no, I do not give any financial advice at all. You can talk to Brother Fast Nico. He provides crypto advice. But I would say this: if you want to contribute to your Roth IRA or any brokerage account, pray about it. I'm not going to dissuade or say anything to of that nature. But what I can tell you is the more in the macro, the more that the US loses its global hegemony, especially in its military might, that directly influences the markets. The question's going to be for a lot of people, how do you think your money's going to look when it's quickly collapsing to what? The yuan. There's your new BRICS currency. I have that in my book, The Rise of Africa, the Continent, the Diaspora, and BRICS. This is a BRICS war. Don't get it twisted. This is a situation to where now people are trying to figure out where can they get and move their money. Well, let me tell you, if you are a nation that no nation wants to do business with, because now think about it. Think about the cost of doing business with the United States as opposed to the cost of doing business with China. There's a big cost because there's risk, there's uncertainty. Banks don't like that. Banks in the US don't even like that. You have job reports numbers that are so false, it's uncomprehensible or incomprehensible that people still believe those job reports numbers. You have economic data that cannot be trusted because I shudder to see what things look like for March and April. You have now people that are trying their best to get out of the US while their money is still worth something that is quickly declining day by day, hour by hour. Well, I think that that was Cammy Nelvis was saying, "Hey, brother, how did you know it would be the Chinese money instead of the Russian money. Well, if you realize that China actually has a bigger economy than Russia, and that's just the state of the nature there. Now, what I do believe is this: China is collecting the money, which is via their BRICS pay. Don't remember they do have BRICS pay. They have the functional framework of BRICS pay, the functional operational framework of BRICS pay. They actually utilized that back last year in one of their BRICS summit where they utilized BRICS pay and the electronic version. I think even like a Visa or MasterCard sponsored that. So it does have intermarket monetary feasibilities, but it hasn't gone online just yet. So China was already making itself the guarantor of multipolar banking through BIS. It's like the um, business infrastructure settlements or something like that. I have to remember that. But within that was also the UAE, Singapore, um, China, some others. Oh, they're going to go for the gambit here. All these transactions are going to more than likely be in yuan. Look, this was the death nail. You just don't say that you lost the fight. You when you get punched in your face and then be like, all right, time out. I'm taking your hand, but you don't punch me in the face and knock me on out. This fight isn't over yet. I just need to get to my corner and take a breather in this next round. That doesn't work like that. And now, those payments. So what they're doing is they're indirectly taxing the United States. The United States is being indirectly taxed. Oh, you think this? You think that? You believe it's going to be this? You believe it's going to be that? No, it's not. No, look, they're going to try to say we're going back to the way it was, quote unquote. You may think it's going back to the way it was. However, it's going to go into a more closed and contained system. And now they have the best backstop on the narrative. Hey, due to global this, due to global that, due to this and due to that, the cost of leaving will be astronomical. Let me show you something. I got this the other day. I can't really show you, but Sorry, give me a second, family. I had received, and I apologize because I get so many emails. it really, it really is not funny. And this email, it popped up, man. I pray that I still have it. So what I received in this email the other day, it was from the government of Burkina Faso. And it was saying, and it I'm pretty sure it went out to most folks that have either applied for a visa there or have gone there. They're making changes to the visas and the visa policy. I was trying to find out where that email came to. So yeah, so please forgive me, family. But it was one of those things that the requirements became much stricter or much stringent. Didn't mean that you couldn't go. It just meant that what you could do, how you could do things, what the arrangements were for you to get there, and why what were you doing? What what was your business there? This is going to be the new standard for all Americans here within the next 6 months. Are you here to try to destabilize? Are you here to try to do this? Are you here to try to do that? What are you trying to do? That's now the issue that most Americans haven't seen coming. So we shall see what this new global order is going to look like. But I'm going to tell you this, no matter what the global order looks like, guess what? The continent is taking advantage of this. And you better believe that how the Most High is moving, it is truly amazing and spectacular to see all of this coming through. So, with that, we'll see what happens in these next 24 hours. Shoot, we'll see what happens in this next couple of couple of days. But you have to understand the US just took one on the chin. And I'm going to tell you this, when you knock the giant down, That's when people strike in the political manner. So we will see what will end up happening from the continent. We'll see what the continent will say regarding economic means. So do not be surprised. That's the best thing I could say. Do not be surprised. With that, family, I got to get up on out of here. You all be blessed. And most high willing, I will be on tomorrow. And with that said, family, shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom, peace and blessings, Yasharel.